Here we go. Just to start off, to let you know, I will record all of our sessions here. I will Zoom all of them as well. I will not, it does not affect your grade, whether you're Zoomed or whether you're here in person, but I sure like seeing your faces, okay? I appreciate that you're here. You have the advantages also of asking me questions live. But look, you're graduates, all right? You can work without a net, all right? You know, y'all are seasoned pros at this point. There's the expectation that you're a grade above, and you are. Let me just show you how much of a grade, don't tell me they don't have, what a way to run a railroad. Let's see. It's markers, okay. You know what that number is? 770,000. Anybody want to venture a guess? That is your lifetime income above an undergraduate degree that you'll make in your lifetime with a master's. Okay? So now you have a reason for being here. And now you understand, well, I mean, you have more than one reason, okay? But I just want to confirm you're making the right choices, okay? MBAs are very interesting. We used to have master's degrees and like marketing and master's degrees and other things, but we found in the 50s and the 60s that individuals, especially people with highly developed minds like engineers and specialists, they were desired by corporations and they needed to have a leg up. We needed to find a way to move these smart, bright individuals further along in the line. And this is where Harvard came up with the MBA. Harvard came up with the MBA. It replaced all of the others. And we came up with this unique experience now called the Masters of Business Administration. And there are concentrations in them as well. So in your MBA experience, you're going to be given 8 specific courses that we feel all highly specialized executives such as yourself need. And then you'll be able to go into your own concentrations in the future. When I got my MBA, I also got 18 hours of marketing graduate stuff, and that allowed me to teach and then ultimately to get my DBA. I do not have a PhD. I have what's called a DBA, which is a Doctors of Business Administration. Means the same thing. Harvard came up with the DBA. You find DBAs, UNC Charlotte does them, Raleigh does them, many others. DBA programs kind of sneak under the wire. And the reason why you have DBA programs is so that the legislators in Raleigh won't say, well, there's 2 PhD programs in North Carolina. Why are we duplicating the effort? Don't tell them, okay? So I might go get a pens. So the way we'll do the classes is it's 11:30 to 1:30. We'll take a 5 or 10 minute break because everybody needs a break. Maximum learning experience when you learn this in education is 50 minutes. The human brain maximizes the storing capacity in short and long-term memory at a 50-minute cycle, and everything else is an exponential downturn, all right? It didn't help when Dr. Babman, who was my professor, would do a 6 hours at a time with a 4-hour class. Nobody would tell Dr. Babman this stuff. But hey, that's what we have to live with. So we'll do 50 minutes, take a 10-minute break, and then we'll come back, all right? So without further ado, my name is Dr. Schaus, pronounced like cows. The original spelling was S-C-H-A-U-S, and they Americanized the spelling, but not the pronunciation. My family, John Schaus, the original one, fought in the Revolutionary War at the age of 13. He was given 300 acres in in Georgia, but that was at a time where the oldest brother got everything and he was the youngest. He moved to Laurel, Mississippi, was the only Revolutionary War hero in Mississippi. He fought on the Confederate side during the Civil War. My great-great-great-great-grandfather is also Jasper Collins. If you've ever seen the movie The Free State of Jones, Jasper Collins fought against the Confederates. So I've got it on both sides. So Jasper Collins famously said that it was a rich man's war and a poor man's fight. And he was talking about the fact that if you had, I think it was like $800, you could buy your way out of the war. And so that was kind of the interesting thing. So anyway, John Shaw's daughter married Jasper Collins. So they found love, in the worst of circumstances. So anyway, that's my family heritage. I'm from Mississippi. I grew up on the Gulf Coast, which is totally different from the rest of Mississippi. I grew up 2 blocks from the beach. My mother, in the afternoons, we'd go to the beach, hang out until the sun went down. So for us, Santa Claus was a dude who had shorts on and hung out on the beach. So that's a little bit about me. I worked for 30 years in industry. I was an IT specialist. I created an internet service providership called Zip Internet. Around 2005, Walmart came along with $4.95 internet, and that in essence collapsed my business. I was at the age of 45 wondering what to do with my life. And I actually got a couple of letters from my chair, who was my chair when I was an undergraduate at Southern Miss. And the letters basically were letters that had been chasing me for 20 years, saying, congratulations, David, you're on the president's list, and it reminded me of what he said, is that he said, you're never going to be a person who's going to be just satisfied with an undergraduate degree. So you are my people, all right? You're not satisfied with an undergraduate degree. You want to do better, and so we're all in this together. I got my master's degree, went to Louisiana Tech, got my DBA. I taught at Auburn Montgomery for a year. I came to Boone. How does a guy who grows up on the beach come to Boone? It's because I fell in love with another professor here and she caught me. Dr. Albinson is my wife. We have 2 wonderful children, one 11-year-old who's a brainiac, and the other who's a 9-year-old, and she's a cheerleader. And so very happy, love Boone. I want to retire here. This is a great place, and you're in a great position. I've been at 5 other universities, 4 others besides this one, teaching little bits, and I can tell you confidently that I really feel like no university cares about its students like this one does. And I avail you to use everything that this university has because you paid for it. You paid for everything, all right? And so it is yours by the money that you put out to be able to do anything you want, all right? So, we finish up or we got the sheet? Okay, go right ahead, no problem. I can't see either. So this is, Mark, by the way, how many of you, this is your very first management or MBA class? All right, yeah, we got a sprinkling. So generally the first 2 years it depends on how you do it. Like I accelerated, I did 4 classes and I did them 4 nights in a row and I got my MBA done in a year, but I was an idiot. Okay, I was in a fast track. I wanted to be able to get these classes over to be able to get to my DBA because that was my next destination. I always had that destination. By the way, folks, if you love this, we need good professors, all right? The time is still available if you want to be a PhD. I've had the proud ability to write a couple of letters for students that have gone on to get their doctoral degrees. I'm telling you, especially for those who have great experience, business departments need you, all right? And even if you don't want to get a PhD, but you want to share your knowledge, we always love to have students come back and talk. Stanley Cups, anybody got one? Anybody? Okay. The marketing executive who came up with the Stanley Cup campaign was from App State. She came here 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, and she sat in a group and talked about how she was able to do it. And she is so awesome. One of the things that she talked about is that she refused to compromise her personal life. She would not compromise her feelings for her children, and she did not want to go somewhere else and do something else. She was so good. They provided her with her mother going with them, the children could go with them, and they provided her with a nanny. That's how good she was. She did something that was unique and opened up Stanley's eyes, and she talked about the rise of influencers. And influencers, there was this one, oh gosh, I'm going blank. I'll talk about it tomorrow. But one of the things she talked about was this influencer group of 4 women who were able to put together this online presence, and she fought tooth and nail to get them against an all boy network, and she won. To say Stanley's benefit, she won. And those are the kinds of people, these creative minds that all of you have that we need, all right? And so without further ado, let's see, are we all finished? The piece of paper? All right. So we're going to go through some introductions. We'll talk a little bit about what's going to go on in here, and then I'll take a break, go get the right kind of pencils, and we'll start getting into marketing, okay? So, Veronica, okay, are you a 5th year, Veronica, or? Okay, so what was your major, by the way?
Actuarial science. Actuarial science.
Ooh. We bow down to the actuary people, okay? I'm serious. You know, anybody who does research or anything, don't let anybody be full of you folks. We know a little bit about mathematics, but everybody who has a PhD in mathematics or them, we bow down to them. I'm not kidding. So Concord, which makes it not far away. Do you know where you want to go or what you'd like to do?
I'm doing a study abroad.
Okay.
So after that, just a job somewhere.
Where are you going?
Korea.
I love South Korea. I taught there for 6 weeks. Where are you going?
Cheonan.
Where?
Cheonan. And
Cheonan, are you serious? I taught at Cheonan University. Yes. This is why I ask these things, folks, because you never know. No kidding. Oh my God, we gotta talk and I've got to show you some pictures, okay? Whatever you do, take the tour to Panmunjom, okay? Seoul is one of the most beautiful cities I've ever seen in my life. It's not like I've traveled a lot, folks, but Seoul it's just magic, all right? It really is. That's wonderful. How long will you be gone?
1 semester.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I love the South Koreans. They are friendly. If you even make that little step to try to understand their language, they love you. Yeah.
I was there last summer, so.
Oh, wow.
that's a big one.
Wow. Yeah, man, I envy you, you know? That's great. Well, good luck. Cool. So you're a student of 5th year?
Yes,
Okay. Gadkinville.
yeah, near Winston-Salem.
Okay.
Right down the road.
All right. Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
Not too far.
Okay, you're a 5th year too? What do you want to do, Cole? Where do you want to go?
I would like to move back where I'm from with
Okay.
my family and stuff.
What
Very
would
close to my family.
Okay,
I'm thinking maybe something finance related.
okay.
Explore my options once I get done.
You're in a great area, the
Yeah.
hub area. There's places where you can go. We have one of our professors that's actually going to be living there because his wife got a job down that way. So excellent. Good for you. Andrew, 5th year?
No,
Okay, are you coming back or?
yeah, I worked in Charlotte the last 2 years,
Okay,
so
so what got you here? What's your reason?
I couldn't get a job.
It's all right, man. Hey, I couldn't get a job. I was in IT. I was 45 years old. And age discrimination is a real thing. I was just too old.
Yeah.
So that's the reason, one of the reasons why. So you going back to Raleigh? Or-
I want to go back to Charlotte, probably.
Yeah.
A lot more opportunities. I was doing consulting, so,
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
What in?
supply chain. I did,
Awesome,
I
man.
did CIS and supply chain for undergrad.
Awesome.
So,
If you need some supply chain hookups, I know some people. Okay.
yeah, definitely.
Because my specialty, by the way, is marketing channel strategy.
Okay.
So I worked in retail for 25, 30 years. So me and Dr. Dave are friends. So
Okay.
yeah, you let me know.
Definitely.
John,
Sir.
fifth year or,
Yes,
okay, from Hickory, all
Yeah.
right? So did you do any of the classes down there or you just?
No, I did undergrad here.
Okay, right. Where do you want to go?
I'm looking at like Charlotte and Raleigh
Okay,
and maybe something with finance.
okay.
I'm looking at.
Finance guys, man, you
Yeah.
guys. That's awesome. Good luck.
Thank you.
So Hannah, a GA, you're a graduate assistant. Okay, Wilmington. So what are your GA here in COB or?
Yeah, it's with the office. I work with Kim for
Okay,
like events.
awesome. Awesome. What was your major? Was it marketing or?
No,
Okay.
it was psychology,
Oh,
so a bit different.
my
But-
minor was in psych, when I was at Louisiana Tech, you had to have a minor. And so it's natural for marketing and psychology to get along together, although they wanted to cut that off because the psych majors were finding out how much the marketing majors were making. So they had to do a little bit of that. So you're Wilmington, right?
Yes,
Would you want to go back there?
no,
Okay, you're done.
I'll go back when I'm like older, but I didn't.
When you're riding high,
I
you know,
need
it's,
to- Yeah,
yeah.
I need to go somewhere else for a while before I come.
I hear you. What would you like to do?
I don't know, I like marketing, and I've been looking at that, but I've been open to other things, just not finance.
I get it, but just having the experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you. Good luck. This is CS, is that
That's CJ.
CJ? I'm sorry, CJ, Greensboro, okay? So fifth year, or you just offer a few years, or just right in?
Fifth year.
You know, what is better? I mean, is it better to go right from fifth year or have 20 years or 25 like I did? Each has their advantage, you know, but when mood, hits you, you need to go. What would you like to do? Where would you like to go?
I'd like to get into medical device sales. But I'd like to not stay.
I got you. I got you. Well, it's a big world out there. So where would you like to be?
I'd like to go out west. Whether it's like Utah, Nevada, something.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I got you there. I mean, well, you'll be able to do it with this. Cam, who's Cam? I'm sorry, excuse me. So Lenore, fifth year too?
It's my third year.
Third year?
Yeah, I graduated, early on.
Excuse me. So what's your specialty?
Supply chain.
Awesome, that's great, that's great. You want to stay in supply chain, and move on with that?
Yeah.
Where would you like to be?
I want to move out to like Charlotte, Oklahoma, just because I've been on this side like my whole life.
Been there, did that? Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I mean, good luck. I mean, you'll make it. Emmett.
That's right.
I'm sorry. You're GA two?
Yeah,
Which, department?
it's with the marketing department,
Yeah.
and supply chain. I think it's, Neil Daz. I think
Oh,
he's new.
DOS.
DOS.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah. I'm going to speak with Donna Lindenberry after this to figure out the logistics of it, but
okay.
yeah.
Okay, you just in? I mean,
Yeah, like just graduated, so fifth year.
awesome.
Yeah.
Where's Pittsburgh? I'm still.
It's like right outside of Chapel Hill.
Okay,
So like 15-minute drive from Chapel Hill.
okay. Where would you want to go? What you want to do?
Well, I've already accepted the job with the company I interned with. It was Tom James, so they do luxury custom clothing.
Really?
Yeah, you know Tom James?
Oh, yeah,
Okay,
man.
Not a lot of people know what Tom James is, so.
I have a friend that I grew up with who's a six-figure tailor in New Orleans.
Mhm.
And he has no inventory, no nothing, just his skill. One of the things I asked him, I said, how did you get to be so successful? And he said, I get them to take their pants off. And he says, what does that mean? He says, well, the first things he say is, why don't you try those on and see what they look like? Okay? And that from there, he's truly one of these individuals who can look at a person and knows what makes them look better. Okay? That is a gift. All right. And he, believe it or not, my 9-year-old has that. Okay. But yeah, good for you. Where would you like to go?
I've accepted the job in Charlotte with them, so.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Yes,
it'll
sir.
be, post grad, so.
Congratulations. Good luck.
Thank
Eli. So 5th year?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Piedmont's, so where's that? I
It's
mean,
below Greenville, South Carolina,
okay, all right.
if you know where that is.
Yeah, I know where that is. I mean, I've seen it on driving. So what gets you into your 5th year? I mean, what brings you here?
I graduated from here undergrad,
Okay,
yeah. so
and just keep it on.
keep going,
Where would you like to be, Eli?
probably back somewhere around home,
Yeah.
but I really don't care.
That's a rocking area around there, man. North and south, that whole corridor from there all the way to Charleston is just rocking. That's cool. Good for you. Macy. Okay, Macy. Is it Rockingham? Okay, all right. Where's that near?
Wrong.
Oh, okay. So what makes you do the 5th year?
I'm actually 30 around.
It's smart. People. I got it on my game. So where would you like to go? Okay, what would you like to do there? Okay,
I'm looking at different things, the marketing and it.
you know, keep your options open. I'm one of those people, if you generally have a direction, move in that direction no matter what it is. But general education always pays off. So good for you. Good luck. Rachel. Raleigh?
Yeah.
So what got you here?
I did undergrad here, so I just started the MBA program, but I just kind of wanted to go and.
Yeah.
I did supply chain for undergrad.
Oh, okay.
So,
So you had Dr. Dave
yes.
and willing to say it, huh? Okay. My nickname is Dr. Dave, so I have a YouTube channel and I work with a high school football Friday night scoreboard show. It's called FNUTL, FNUTL, Friday Night Under the Lights. And my nickname is Dr. Dave, but I don't want to put that on my license plate because I'm afraid they'll think I'm Dr. Dave. So. Good luck. So where did I lose? Is it busy? Is that right? Busy. So 5th year?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And you were in Charlotte, right? Or, so what you want to do?
I want to go into HR and healthcare.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Booming field, really is. Is there any area you want to be around or?
Either Charlotte or Stateside in Georgia.
Okay, yeah, yeah, that's, Charlotte's a great area to do that in. Good for you. Good luck, okay? Mackenzie, so recreation and tourism, project specialist? Okay, you're a bartender like my brother is.
Yeah.
Cool for you. From Raleigh,
Yep.
is that right?
Mhm.
So what got you here?
Same thing, came here for undergrad. I
Okay.
toured and I was like, fell in love with the school.
Yeah, I mean, folks, we got it nice here, okay? I mean, I lived in Montgomery. Look, I love Montgomery. It was great. But Montgomery is 40 degrees hotter than it is right now, okay? I was just down on the Gulf Coast, see my son is getting his teaching degree. I don't know where he got that. But he, you know, it was like 90 degrees in Hattiesburg. And if I didn't love my son, I wouldn't have been there. But that's awesome. Do you know what you really would like to do?
Either staying with recreation and tourism or doing sustainable like business consulting with like carbon accounting, stuff like that.
That's awesome. I'm trying to remember who's the management. I forgot Linda or Kozlowski. I forgot.
Tammy.
Thank you, Tammy. Okay, I don't know why I got that mixed up. But yeah, and my wife, Dr. Almanson, talks about sustainability and marketing too, so.
I think we did a project.
Really?
Yeah.
Small world. That's why I ask these things. Good luck.
Thank you.
Alex, is it Mecklenburg? Is that right? Mecklenburg, Downers Grove, Illinois? So what got you here? How'd you get here?
So I came here for the Iowa Durham program
Okay,
and ended up doing the dual degree MBA. So I did finish that degree earlier this month.
congratulations. So you're in your HR right now? or-
I'll start next week.
Okay, where?
Collins Aerospace.
What was that?
Collins Aerospace.
No kidding. Wow. Well, I'm just curious, what will your responsibilities be?
I'll be supporting one of the aftermarket populations.
Wow, that's awesome. Good luck.
Thank you.
Riley, is it Sant?
Yeah.
Sant, excuse me.
Yeah.
Highland Ranch, Colorado.
Yes.
So what got you here?
Same. So we're in the industrial organizational psychology. and human
IO
development.
Psych, yeah.
Just finished that degree.
Okay.
Decided to do the dual masters and get an MBA.
That's smart. That really is smart. Where would you like to be?
I would like to move back out west.
What can you say?
Anywhere out west.
Yeah, Colorado. I have a niece that's in Colorado, so yeah, I understand the attraction.
Mhm.
That's awesome. Good luck. Morgan from Charlotte.
Yeah.
So 5th year, right?
What?
All the same group, right? Okay, I got you. So, are you looking to go back to Charlotte
I'll
or?
probably start out in Charlotte. Just
Okay.
'cause I already have a lot of people there, and then maybe up in the Triangle, up in Raleigh. I like the Southeast in general.
Yeah,
I can't do cold weather.
no,
Can't travel that far out. So.
no. And the wonderful thing about it is if it's too hot, you're just 3 hours
Yeah.
away, you know, I mean, that's the awesome part
Yeah.
about it. What would you like to do? I mean,
Yeah, so a lot of what we kind of do is like strategic HR, and eventually I want to move into like consulting work, so I could do projects.
outstanding. That's great. Good luck.
Thank you.
Gabriel from Durham.
Durham.
So what got you here?
Same.
I'm sorry, same question, same answer. Okay, that's cool. So what would you like to do or where would you like to go?
I'd love to go back to Durham or the Triangle for at least a little bit.
Okay.
And I'm not quite sure what kind of work I want to do. Definitely some sort of HR strategy type thing, maybe consulting after.
Yeah, IO Psych is just a booming and it's one of those professions. I wouldn't say that any of them are recession proof. But IO Psych is so important in, human resource management. I mean, the lifeblood of any organization is in the recruitment and the employees. You can have all the commodities in the world, but it's that core, the essence of the employees that means a success. That's great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Logan from Sanford. I'm not familiar.
It's southwest of Raleigh. I
Okay.
I was born in Fayetteville. Dad was in the military, so we
Okay.
moved out there to get away from the traffic.
Thank you, Dad, for your service. Where, same reasoning, I mean.
Yep, St. Io psychology.
Okay.
Never heard that one before.
Okay, you never heard?
Yeah, so yeah,
Okay.
Io program
Okay, well, where would you like to go?
and somewhere on the Triangle, or also thinking maybe Richmond, Virginia.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a great area, no doubt about it. Yeah, I have never been to the East Coast of North Carolina in 10 years I've been here, and we went there last year. Trying to remember the little town we went to. But yeah, it was beautiful. I get it, by all means. Let's see, Gabriel, Brett, Durham, right?
Yes.
So same answer or is it
No,
different?
different
Okay.
this time.
All right, so what brought you here?
I did my undergrad here, so I
Okay.
did my MBA here as well.
So 5th year, just walked right into it?
Gap in between,
Okay, that's cool.
yeah,
Where would you like to go? Want to stay?
wherever a job takes me, I suppose.
I guess so. Yeah, I would too. Any particular thing you'd like or?
I'm focused on the HR right now, but it's still up in the air.
I got you. It's just a wide open field. You've got so many options with that, so you're in a good place. Good luck.
Thank you.
Albert. Or Collins.
Yeah.
Okay. So 5th year? Yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
Okay, 5th year. We want to go back to Colorado? You want to stay
I'd
here?
love to go back. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, what can you say? It's Colorado. Same thing, IO,
No, I did my undergrad in math. So.
serious, man. Okay, yeah, really, okay. An undergraduate in mathematics. I mean, you may be I can't believe I have 2 in the class. Wow. So what got you into doing the MBA thing?
I thought it would open some more doors and just give me I don't know exactly what I want to go into yet, so.
Yeah.
Probably something with data, but.
Well,
I have no
and
idea.
and that's the core of what an MBA does, is it takes like your specialty, whatever it is, and gives you the general business knowledge that a 4-year degree, but you're on another level. Master students are always on another level, but it gives you the one thing that you gotta have in order to get up. It's not the knowledge, it's certification. Okay, you have a diploma that states that you've made it to that level. So you probably are there, you're all there already, but you need to have some kind of, confirmation that you made it. So good luck, you're gonna make it.
Thank you.
Please tell me the right way to say your name.
It's no,
Now?
no.
Now, okay,
You can call me May. I know it's my niece.
okay, May. So Charlotte,
Yes, but I've been living in Charlotte for 2 years, but before that,
oh my gosh.
it's a tropical country. I hope you don't mind if seeing me wearing sweater.
Yes.
In summer.
It's okay. So is your family from, you were born in Vietnam and came, or?
I was born in Vietnam and get with my family.
Wow, that's awesome. My dad was in Vietnam for 3 years and just loved them, I'm sure you know Tom here, right? Or do you? Yeah, he's just a great guy. He's our IT specialist. He's awesome. So where do you want to go? What do you want to do?
Well, my major, my concentration.
Awesome.
And I hope that in the future I could hold some skill that can, IG, WP and things like.
Yeah, you're in a wide open field because I don't even think we're at that point right now. Once again, I'm in marketing channel strategy. So we're rewriting the rules of supply chain right now. So yeah, you're in the sweet spot. And last, Forrest, is that right?
Yep.
Development intern. So-
Yeah, so it's for Water to Wine right here in town.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Yes.
I wasn't gonna do an internship and they reached out to me. I guess they couldn't find somebody to fill the position. So I
Yeah.
was like, okay, I'll keep that gap out of my resume, so.
Or, well, you don't, and you're getting a master's degree, so you couldn't use it as credit or anything like that?
It's like 10 hours a week, so it's very little.
Okay.
work, but
Are you gonna take a couple of years to do it?
The degree, no,
Yeah.
I'm accelerated as well. I'm
Okay.
actually, so my undergrad was Parks and Rec management.
Okay,
I ended up working in like mental health for a little bit.
Okay.
Decided I don't want to do that.
yeah,
Went back to the Parks and Rec department here at App and I was like, hey, how do I do what you guys do? So I'm on the PhD track.
oh, really?
Yeah, for Parks and Rec, though,
Good for
so a
you,
little
man.
different than,
That's awesome. So Apex, where's Apex?
it's right outside of Raleigh. So
Okay.
Raleigh.
So where do you want to go? I mean,
If I had it my way, I lived in Montana for a little while. I'd love to go back there, but my wife and I are actually expecting, so we'll probably move back to Apex. So we have that family network.
you, man. When do you graduate?
December.
Awesome. If you need a letter, let me know.
Oh,
Okay?
absolutely. Thanks so much.
You bet, you bet. Wow, what a talented group. I hope I can keep up. No, and I'm not being facetious. I mean, masters, one of the reasons why teachers, or I like masters is because I like, and I don't mean that undergrads don't stretch me, but the wealth of experiences and knowledge in a group like this, and especially so many. I don't know if you know it, but usually, master's classes, they like to be about 15 or 20. I don't have any problem with larger classes. Because I think the exchange of ideas can be just as important as being able to maintain a certain rigor. And you will find that in this particular class, we have a rigor, but it's not like you're seeing it happen all the time, okay? So what is it about marketing strategy, or how do I want you to think about this class? So your grades are going to be very important to you. I have lined up these courses to maintain a certain amount of detailed knowledge that will be vital to your own success. But there's so many things that are not necessarily written down on paper that I think are much more important, that I hope I will be able to help you with now. So. I will, we're gonna take a break in a few minutes, because I definitely need to get. So. Thinking is a process. It is a process that as we work, as we train our mind, we get better at. And what I hope to do is to give you enough necessary work that doesn't involve memorization, but allows you to stir up your mind and consider things from all the angles that hopefully you'll be able to take these ideas and grow with. The ideas are about how we think and how we process. And to me, that's ultimately what this is about. We have case studies that we'll be doing in which your groups will be assigned. And while the case studies and the information you come up with are going to be important, the ability to function and process in your mind to me is more important than the answers you give me. There are many times I've given assignments in this class where two people have entirely different opinions, but both got A's because they used a logical sequence and order and understanding of how about to go about the answers. And that's what this is all about. So one of the things your book is going to mention, maybe briefly, is a learning process that we call diagnosis and synthesis, okay? Okay. Diagnosis comes from the Latin word, which means to take apart. When you run a diagnostic, or when you're trying to diagnose things, what you generally do is you break those particular problems that you have in a series of systematic objective phrases, all right? And so what we do is we have this large pie, and this is the problem. And what diagnosis means is that we take these pieces and we separate them into different understanding concepts. So, from the phrase, "this doesn't work," we come up with facts about why this doesn't work, and we separate them into objective thoughts. The light is not on. That would be an example, all right? Now, the key also behind this is the ability to disseminate what facts are vital and which facts are not. That is the second thing that we have to do, is we have to be discriminating in what we consider valuable and what we consider not. And the cases that we're going to have are going to be vital to this. And how do we decide which ones are important and which ones are not depends ultimately in what is our objective. Okay. So what is the objective? Synthesis is the Latin word which means to put together. Put together. So, let's see. Synthesis means that you take the pieces of the diagnosis that are considered relevant, you put them together, and then you form a new whole. And so from a larger pie, you ignore the things that are irrelevant, focus on the things that are, and you put them together. And once you form this new whole, then you can ultimately take those facts and come up with a reasonable hypothesis. And then you test the hypothesis. It's the scientific method, okay? Success for you in your future, in your organizations, and in this class will be your ability to take those parts that are relevant, ignore the ones that aren't, and come up with ultimately, if not answers, then possible solutions. So that's what this class is all about. Our objectives are that we're going to learn how to come up with strategies. We're going to be able to do this by reviewing marketing concepts. We're going to talk about fundamental designs. We're going to take unique ideas that will help us ultimately build a process that you'll be able to use in anything, okay? That's the focus of this particular class. So we're going to do this in a 5-week study. We're going to be going Monday through Thursday from 11:30 to 1:30. We'll have a test at the end of every week. I would like that to be an online test because I would like for you to be able, while we're in class, to focus on those things that are important in our class. We will ultimately finish where you will be in groups and you will be doing case studies from the book. And what you're going to be doing, and of course, we'll go over all of this again, is you are going to be the rainmakers, all right? These are corporations with real life things that are happening or have happened. There are problems or individual issues that need to be addressed, big ones and small ones. You're going to diagnose the information you're going to have, and you're going to synthesize big answers and small, and provide a direction or a future for those particular corporations. To show you the structure of this, by the way, the book, O.C. Farrell wrote the book. O.C. is one of my heroes. O.C. Farrell has written, has over 240 journal articles in his 50-year career. He's written nearly 40 books. I don't know how the man has time to breathe, but he's one of the most amazing men I've ever met. Having said that, I have issues with his book, believe it or not. And I would like to revise some sections because my specialty is marketing channels. But let's just talk about the structure. We're only talking about 10 chapters, right? So this is not 15 chapters that we're going to try to do in 5 weeks, but many of these chapters are going to be critical, okay? So along with this, you have other articles that I am going to wish you to be able to read. Marketing Myopia by Theodore Levitt is one of the seminal articles that has ever been written, published in 1960. He has been talked about as being one of the major movers of marketing thought in the century. Shelby Hunt, in the commitment trust theory, Shelby Hunt wrote the book on marketing theory that I use. It is a vital, important work. Once again, a seminal change in the way marketing is thought of and taught. And then finally, Regis McKenna is there. His article is Marketing is Everything, in which we talk about marketing being the catch-all be-all. And so the chapters as we go, we'll start out with chapter 1. We'll move to chapter 6. Here's where OC and I part company. The marketing program basically will talk about the 4 Ps, which is one of those things that we talk about all the time in marketing. We're going to talk about them a little better. If you want to read ahead, you can. Be forewarned, the chapter on marketing channels I've completely rewritten because I've taught channels for 10 years and I have a different take on it than he does. That's the beginning, and this is the section 1 where we'll set the stage for marketing strategy. The next section is how we go about finding opportunities in strategy. We'll talk about the SWOT analysis and the situation analysis. Anybody heard of a SWOT analysis? Yeah, you're going to be swatted to death if you're going to be in MBA classes, all right? And the reason why we do SWOT analysis is because it's useful. You're going to find a lot of the ideas that we have in marketing may not necessarily have some substantial, or what's the word I want to use, research behind it, but they're very useful tools. And so you're going to find yourself, whether you know it or not, turning to use it again and again. So this next section we'll talk about the process and diffusion of innovation, article written by Robertson in 1968. This was a brilliant thought piece, okay? Just thought it up, didn't do any research on it, and the product lifetime or the lifetime product strategy and the life cycle of a product is still used to now, and how we diffuse innovations. And to me, innovation is a major concept that I want you to get right. So we'll talk about how we go about doing strategic marketing planning. We'll talk about how we collect and analyze marketing information in itself. For those of you who wish to dig in deeper, I would urge you to take marketing analytics or marketing research as a graduate course. You will move on and talk about chapters. The first 2 chapter tests are in marketing myopia, and chapters 1 and 6, believe me, chapter 6 is going to be a full plate. Then finally, we'll talk about putting strategy into action. We'll talk about how you go about analyzing a case using what I've used. We'll actually do an analysis of a case in class. We'll talk about how we go about developing a competitive advantage and a focus, a strategic focus. We will do review for chapter 4. By the way, we have reviews for all of the chapters online. You can do them at your own time. You're not given a grade for them, but there are ways for you to practice, what you've read. And I use some of the questions in the tests. So just to let you know, okay? And then finally, we will talk about the assignments. We'll have chapters 5, 7, and 10. And we'll also include the product life cycle. We'll talk about branding and positioning, segmentation, targeting and positioning, and then finally ending up with how do we develop and maintain a long-term relationship. And then we will finish up with doing your assignments, and then you'll have the test. The test is a comprehensive optional final, okay? So if you're fine with your grades, you'll do 3 tests. If you're fine with the grades, you do not have to do the final. And the final will replace your lowest grade. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go take a quick break. We got about 10 minutes. I'm going to go get something that I can actually write with, and we'll start in. Okay. Be right back.
I don't know, I don't think very good.
Yeah, yeah.
You guys, do something. That's the one. Turn for- I didn't realize how long. 5.5 hours. I've never flown that far. You ever flown? Really good. I really enjoy it. I like waiting in the line and then going on the plane. And it's just funny,
you
like
wanna do some-
everyone's just, oh, we'll see. I haven't gotten tickets yet. Should probably do that.
Only experience of it.
What's up on flight only about 6 a.m.
You know,
Reaches I'm done. It's only, it's only 5 hours. So you just like add 3 hours out of nowhere.
Yeah. Cycle. Back, yeah. You know, there's. Mess you up. Going there, you're gonna feel like you're right away. Here. When she has to travel like big time zone jobs, 4 or 5 hours. The week prior, she'll change her sleeping habits. Adjust. She says it, which is good.
Habits. Be out the window during the last 2 weeks. I slept in so late, and then I stayed up even later. Like I just kept staying up later and later and waking up later every day.
Becomes a vicious cycle.
Until it's like 3 a.m. and I'm reading a book and like, I'm actually I'm gonna go to bed.
Okay. That was me during exam week.
I forgot
to get
that
the
it was
end
a
of
cheat
the
sheet.
day,
Oh,
which
I was
is
just
like up
looking
until
at
like
my
4 a.m.
notes.
And then they open the window and it's
They
like
gave-
There's
I saw you had a birch or something.
I
Oh,
forgot
a
to-
birch. I was like,
My nose, like,
look out the window and it's like, it's not light, and then I look at it, it's like just early enough that it started to be active. That's how you know you messed up.
I was like, man, I still got 87.
I have my new.
I'm debating, oh, not like.
Like right. I do think that's what I ever not like. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this class is. It's just tonight's class.
Yeah. 4 hours. I would say. What's your name again? What's your name again?
I'm Cal.
Riley. She's a loud girl. She wants to be born and raised.
I, moved there when I was 2.
So basically, yeah.
But not like.
So I think you can come. Yeah. You were able to talk. Yeah. Did you go to undergrad?
I did, yeah. Well, I was on the, where I am currently on the track. And it's a beautiful place. too.
Yeah.
But definitely a good job.
Did undergrad at University of Washington.
Okay.
Worked for a little bit and then the program that we're in for other master's degree is like top notch for what we do.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty cool.
This comic seems great.
What's the program?
Industrial organization psychology and human resource management.
So you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. My buddy. was-
I don't know what we're talking about.
I don't think it's.
Wow.
So, yeah.
I will. I,
Yeah, very familiar.
I don't know.
Like,
but-
yeah.
Actually, it was like.
They have a good cross country.
Trying to figure out what the.
You got Duke, I think.
Yeah.
So like.
He was like.
Wow.
Yeah, it was.
I like them. Yeah.
So we're shooting for Oregon.
We got.
And,
That's good.
I was like, I'm doing something.
Yeah, something.
It's all stuff.
I don't mind just bringing it.
I have a high school teammate, he's a freshman. So we have got that.
In 5 days. That's insane.
No, but I know. There's everything. No.
He did.
Yeah.
All the.
Yeah.
And he's back.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I'm crying.
Oh. I have a bottle.
I'll try it.
It's certainly, they're making for
Actually, my roommate.
Yeah,
did that.
we was
Yeah.
Trend setting.
I tried gluten-free craft the other week because they finally have it. It's so sweet.
Oh.
Disgustingly sweet. Like they put a cup of sugar.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're trying to balance. We're gluten-free. Yeah. Definitely ruined.
I didn't grow up with it, so like I don't get excited about it.
Dude,
I did grow up with gluten free everything.
the only one I would eat. Now I do. I'm a puppy, really.
A lot of Italy's better with
Yeah.
Oh, it's actually.
Does they have like such high rates of celiac?
I was gonna say.
Yeah.
They do that. Yeah. Like it's, I do this when I give math, I don't want to be sure, but I do. Something while we're driving.
I'm gonna warm you up a little bit. So this guy, I have to go back to a better picture. This guy is Barry Babin. Barry was the chair of Louisiana Tech when I was there. He was, the chair of my dissertation committee. And he's about 5'5" and weighs about 110 pounds dripping wet. And I have the privilege now of calling him Barry once I got my PhD. So Barry was one of these guys with steel blue eyes that could freeze a bear at 100 yards when you said something wrong. So anyway, we were in structural equation modeling class, SEM. This is the 6-hour class that was supposed to last only 4 hours. And Barry had that way of just trying to, see what you got inside. So anyway, during structural class, we had another cohort by the name of Goochlu. Goochlu was a management candidate. In the first year in a DBA, the business candidates from marketing and management and finance, you all took the same classes. So there would be like 15 of us in the same class. And once you got past the preliminaries, you would start breaking up into your concentration. So there was only 4 of us in PhD school. So anyway, the chair of the department, Goochler's there. I always had to feel like my A game had to be up when the mathematicians were there. I had to feel like I had to know what I was talking about. And anyway, Goochlu said, well, management just hires the marketing people when they need it. And Barry's eyes, his steel blue eyes got like this big, and he put his fists on his hips and he said, do you know who Jerry Jones is? Anybody know who Jerry Jones is? Okay. The owner of the Dallas Cowboys. Whatever you think about him as an owner, you're probably right. But Jerry Jones bought the Dallas Cowboys when they were losing $25 million a year. The Dallas Cowboys, okay? Yet they were losing money every year. So one of the things that Jerry Jones wanted to do was build a new stadium. He felt that was more important than anything else that he was doing. So how did he go about doing it? And realize this, the modern way that you go about building stadiums is that you threaten the city that you're in, that you're going to move, and find ways of getting money out of the city in terms of grants. That's not what Jerry Jones did. He worked with the city of Arlington, which is between Fort Worth and Dallas. And what he wanted to do was come up with a bond issue. Now, a bond issue is something you must pay back, all right? So the bond issue for that was $325 million, all right? The other thing that they got from the city of Arlington was a tax on parking. Parking, once again, people come from out of city, out of state, and then also hotel rooms as well. So that's 325 million. Jerry kicks in another 325 million. So the stadium is supposed to be $650 million. The stadium goes $500 million in the red. So what does Jerry Jones do? Jerry Jones reaches into his pocket and pays the other $500 million. So AT&T Stadium was financed basically with not a single tax that's on the individuals in the city itself. The next thing he wants to do is he wants to build a giant roof. Because that's one of the things about Irving, Texas, in the original Dallas Cowboys Stadium, it had a hole in the middle. And the old saying was, that's so God could watch its favorite team. Okay. So anyway, he goes through that. He finishes everything. He gets it done. How could it be possible to be able to finance $1 billion basically by itself? What was the hook? And the answer is, before one shovel of dirt was in the ground, Jerry Jones had sold AT&T Stadium. He had enough sponsors to be able to make money from the moment that AT&T Stadium was actually built. Not only that, but the city of Arlington, on that 30-year bond issue, paid it off in 5 years. It paid off so enormously successful that they were able to build a baseball stadium for $1.15 billion right next to the football stadium. So how does that happen? It's exactly as I said. Jerry Jones is not a manager. God knows. Jerry Jones is a marketer, all right? And I want all of you to understand that whenever you're going to be the #1 person in any business, the highest individual in any organization you're ever going to be in, you're not there to manage, you're there to market. If you're an accountant and you're the #1, 2, or 3 person in your accounting group, you're not going to be doing accounting. Your job is going to be getting clients. If you're going to be in finance, it's the same thing. The #1 people in organizations are marketers, and they market that skills. Now, it doesn't mean that you don't have to be obsessive, and it doesn't mean that marketers can't make stupid mistakes, because they can. John Scully, who took over Apple when Steve Jobs left, ran Apple into the ground and nearly killed it. So I'm not saying that the marketing people are the smartest, but those individuals who want to succeed, take the lessons that I'm giving you and apply them to your lives, okay? And I'll tell you a little bit more about that, but that's Barry, awesome guy, easiest person. He appreciates toughness. He really does. I had some unfortunate personal things happen during SEM. He gave me an extra week to finish it. I worked on it till 4 a.m. that morning. I got an A. He appreciates toughness, all right? And I think a lot of people do. So there's a fascinating kind of tete-a-tete going on right now between Amazon and Walmart. What has been interesting to me is to watch how delivery has pushed itself to the forefront. And it's not quite simply because they want to do one thing better than the other. It's because the consumers desire it. And so what we find is Walmart, to me, which has the #1 supply chain focus in the world, is now fighting toe-to-toe with Amazon, especially when it comes to their online services. In 2014, Walmart did something very smart. I don't know if you ever knew Jet.com. Jet.com was a dynamic search engine that was built by this individual. And the purpose of Jet.com was to use a dynamic search engine that would search for the best price for a given good if you gave it a week, okay? And would let you know, especially when that price was changed. 2014, Walmart comes along, buys Jet.com, takes the CEO of Jet.com, makes them the chief of information, the CIO, and now Walmart starts upgrading their website. They start doing free delivery or free shipping if the goods are over $50 and over. Amazon feels like they have to fire back, and they do. And so what we've had is, over the last decade, is this wonderful fight that happens between two competitors with big shoulders, and ultimately the winners are always going to be the consumers, and that's the way we are right now. Interestingly enough, one of the things that we might perceive of is that Amazon is bigger than Walmart, but Walmart's actually about 5 times bigger, all right? their annual revenues are anywhere from 1.15 to $1.5 billion. Amazon makes about anywhere from $300 to $600 million a year. I mean, we're talking a lot of money, but Walmart does it sometimes under the covers. The interesting thing, Walmart has 2.6 million employees with 6,500 stores across the United States. They employ 1.5 million people in the US. They're the second largest employer next to the federal government. They got to be doing something right. Okay. When I was an MBA student in 2006, I said Walmart should turn themselves into the global warehouse. And that's it. I'm so smart, why ain't I rich? But that's exactly what they've done. The Walmart stores, in essence, now are global warehouses and basically shipping destinations. And they've been able to tweak that model by doing unique things such as buy online, pick up in store. It's BOPIS. It's either called BOPIS or BOP, whichever one you want. It's an interesting thing, once again, because you thought retail was dead, but retail actually has had a resurgence. And we thought COVID would have killed it. It has killed certain stores, especially specialty type stores. But those that have been able to be agile, as they say, are the ones ultimately that have expanded and grown. And interestingly enough, one of them is Walmart. Why? Well, they played to their strength. And that's one of the things that Walmart does quite well. Doesn't mean they do everything well, but those particular strategic advantages that they have, they've been able to succeed enormously. So where are we in the modern world? So we live in a very dynamically fast-changing world today. And I don't even have to tell you, because this was before we even considered what artificial intelligence was going to do. Jag Chef, one of the great gurus that I've ever met, had a statement in 2014 where he said, marketing is context driven, which I think is a great way of saying it. And it is a perpetual kind of thing as well, because as long as individuals change, okay, marketing must change with it. And unfortunately, we're looking at changes that have now accelerated, especially since the pandemic as well. And so if we're looking at things that have surely changed us, if I were especially, I would look at blockchain, omni-channel technologies, and we'll talk about these one at a time. And then finally, of course, streaming entertainment. Now, the consumer centric technology is only consistent, is basically consistent with the whole concept of what marketing is, because marketing is driven by the customers, right? Supply chain management. It's interesting, in 2008, let me turn that off. In 2008, when I was getting my doctorate degree, as I said before, we get to minor in something, and I wanted to minor in supply chain. Well, supply chain was not taught at Louisiana Tech at the time. And as a matter of fact, channels as a specialty, which was mine, like I said, I was in retail for 25 years, was minimized. So the 4 Ps place was the one that almost had slipped out of marketing as a concept. So everybody was doing consumer behavior, product, price, all of those other things. And I was kind of left out into the cold. Well, around that time, 2008, 2009, while I was teaching, a certain thing came along called the smartphone. Okay. So I was teaching sales management. You teach while you're going to school. And I just happened to ask someone, how many in here have a smartphone? This is 2000. Everyone held up their hand. I realized something important had happened and I missed it, right? And I didn't know what it was. And so I had a razor, what did I know? But anyway, I started looking into it and then have fully comprehended what the omni-channel did and does. And so now in my supply chain classes, we run 4 classes a semester now. I'm actually on hiatus, so I only teach 1 class because I'm also director of professional education, but they're stacked and they're full. So place all of a sudden, because of the change that consumers have brought around, place is bigger than ever, all right? So he who laughs last, all right? And so place is the final frontier. For those of you in supply chain, quick difference between the two, all right? So if you're talking about supply chain, all right, you're talking about how to efficiently move goods through the system. You don't have to take this down for anything, folks. I'm just showing you. And you push goods through the system, all right? And that's what supply chain does. In marketing, all right, in marketing, we identify the consumer's needs and the consumer's demands and desires pull the goods through the system, all right? And so what we believe is that demand ultimately is what creates supply. And so if you're talking in the marketing person, they're generally talking about it as the demand chain versus the supply chain. This is one of those fundamental things that has changed and what makes the future of marketing so difficult to understand. For those of you who, does everybody have just a very good understanding where blockchain is and how disruptive it is? I won't have to go on. I'm doing a research study on interpersonal trust and how it affects blockchain. I'm a firm believer that, especially with the concept of trust is like many things that can't be seen or looked at or touched or felt. It is vital and important. And I feel like if you take all the other issues away, the fact that we trust the blockchain ultimately is what creates its effect. So blockchain is, we all know, it's a peer-to-peer environment. It is totally separate from intermediaries such as governments and regulations. And that's what makes them so potentially dangerous. Oh, this is a true story. Excuse me. I got something that's trailing me. It can come up now. So this is a true story. There was a Comic-Con in 2011. And the Comic-Con had, doing the dress up, okay? So the first prize was $500. Second prize was $250. Third prize was $100. And there were 5 fourth prizes, 10 Bitcoins. But it was like 50 cents a coin. How much is Bitcoin right now? Yeah, $67,000.
Something like that.
Yeah. So gives you an idea where the world goes, okay? So that is the disruptive value. I have a nephew who won't return my phone calls, who got big in Bitcoin. So I'm kidding. He's a nice kid. Anyway, blockchain has come around and disrupted everything. And the part that I'm working on is this trust and transparency. And transparency and trust are interrelated, but this very much goes along with trust and commitment as well. So blockchain in itself has created chaos, which is great because innovation and chaos work together. And innovation turns over structures. It's like putting a shovel in the earth. It reinvigorates. And so blockchain, I do not know where we're ultimately going to go with it. So the omni-channel, basically, the omni-channel is the ability for the consumer to control the interactions in which we do in the consumer buying process, okay? We will talk about the omni-channel technology, especially when we talk about chapter 6, but very briefly, Okay? The omni-channel or the multi-channel is built around multiple different ways in which we can have a good delivery, okay? So we can have delivered by mail, we can have it delivered, we go in-house, okay? We can have it delivered digital, okay? And the buying process during all of this, each one of these can be unique. In a multi-channel environment, all of these are siloed. In other words, they never touch each other. In an omni-channel environment, the consumer starts everything, all right? In the buying process, the consumer could choose mail. They can choose in-house. They can choose digital. But the consumer, in essence, controls everything in the buying process of itself. One of the difficulties, of course, with the omni-channel, all right, is that the omni-channel creates what's called pollution, all right? We don't know what the consumer uses during the buying process. And it becomes very difficult to be able to track a consumer's flow from beginning to end, which is vitally important. Otherwise, we don't know how the consumer makes decisions. So the buying process is first you define the need. The next is information search. And for me, information search means I go online. So I have this story I tell. When I got tenure, my gift to myself was a 75-inch OLED, QLED Samsung television set. And my wife said yes before she saw how big it was. Okay. She loves it now. All right. Yeah. I mean, now it's like, oh, it's like her idea. Anyway, in terms of the process, I started the information search online. I'm one of those individuals who's very tech related, so I obsessed over it. But then what I did to make my final choice is I actually went in the store and I looked at them, because although 2/3 of all of the technology is bought online, of those 2/3, 65 to 75% actually go inside the store to actually see what it looks like. There's a concept that's known as need touch. We need to have the visceral feel of something to be able to make our final choices. And this is one of the difficulties we have as marketing, is to try to find out the consumer journey and ultimately how do they come up with these ideas. So one of the things I always say in marketing channels is there's only one reason to make decisions in business, and it is to increase your return on investment, ROI. The reason you make choices in business is to increase your return on your investment. And one of the reasons why you invest in consumer-centric technology is because it creates a greater satisfaction in your consumer and the desire for them to repeat their purchases. Because we know this, especially in the age of the internet and the age of posting, we know this, is that if consumers are happy, they'll tell people. And if they're not, they'll tell even more people. And that's not being facetious, by the way. So if we were to look at satisfaction and dissatisfaction, and we were going to try to plot that on a scale, all right? Dissatisfaction is much stronger, okay, than satisfaction. Why? The satisfaction is the completion of an expectation. I'm satisfied. Nobody comes out going, boy, I'm sure satisfied. all right? That doesn't have any emotive context. Dissatisfaction is a call to action, all right? And now, at our fingertips, we have more and more ability to express our dissatisfaction than ever. And so, not only by choice, but by desperation, we have to be concerned about what our consumers do and think. And then finally, if we look at where streaming entertainment is now, I haven't got a guess. But one of the things that we have is, of course, if we look at rapidly evolving technology, eventually what happens is that technology rolls upon itself. We get dissatisfied with something, and guess what? Satisfaction reoccurs again. I bought my daughter a turntable for her birthday, and she loves it for about a month. And then we put it in the living room. And so I'm playing Led Zeppelin and Taylor Swift, in equal measure. Led Zeppelin, I chase the kids out of the house. Taylor Swift brings them back in. But anyway, streaming entertainment is once more one of those things that is disruptive technology. And yes, while consumers have at least one streaming service, we're coming back around again, and we're reducing those things as well, because one of the things that upsets us more than anything else is privacy concerns. And we're about to hit that peak point where privacy concerns are going to change. We'll talk about this more at the end of the year, especially. But streaming technology is one of those more disruptive things. I'm a DVD collector because, well, I'm old. And the other part of that is that I like the extra stuff at the end of every DVD. I enjoy the behind the scenes stuff. I like to know how the things are made, and that's what floats me. And I especially don't like when they change something in a DVD. Han shot first, okay? Just remember that. And we'll get along. Anyway. So the last thing is that there's really no power shift to customers, because I think power has always been in the consumer's hand. I just think, realistically, we've run out of reasons, or let's just say, we've run out of things that we can put in a yearly report to explain why consumers go away, all right? Because basically the consumers have the power of the purse, they control everything. And if we want to win, we need to keep our consumers happy, all right? So there's this struggle that's going on, and the only way that we can control or be able to come up with some kind of way of balancing this is we've got to have more information, all right? Excuse me, sorry. So this is basic stuff. You don't have to worry about this. Realize that with fragmentation, I think it's more than anything, just quite simply the recognition that our markets have always been fragmented. It's just that what we have is we have greater opportunity for consumers to be able to indulge themselves in unique things than we ever have before. I say this many times in my classes. Your generation is the toughest group of shoppers that there is. And I think that mostly has to do with the fact that you have more information than any other generation ever had. Now, the danger, of course, of that is to have too much information. And that's one of the other things that I do research on, which is information overload. But generally, as a rule of thumb, you're the toughest group there is. And I think also it means that you have difficulties. So the big advantage is the recognition of fragmentation is we have more ability to reach target audiences than we ever have at any point. Because we can more finely segment through the different services that consumers use to be able to nail down those consumers who most want our product, and we avoid wasting money. Now, the flip side of that is the mass market has become more and more difficult for us to reach. Quite simply, a single message for all individuals is difficult to the point of impossible to reach now. And so what would be a mass audience kind of thing? Coke. Coca-Cola would be a mass, where generally the single message would be carried to more than one group. Okay? So I am going to move through these, but the last thing I want you to do from this beginning point is to understand the concept of commoditization. There are certain products that consumers may look at as being no different from the other products. Especially with the worldwide reaches now on the internet and locations to buy things. There's a creeping awareness that consumers are basically considering one product no different from the other. The experience with my 75-inch television watching Top Gun Maverick is in many ways just as good as the experience I had in the theater. What is the danger in this? When all products are considered just like each other, what is the primary way we make a decision?
Whatever's cheaper.
Yes, price, exactly, okay? When all things are equal, consumers will make the rational choice and choose the one that is the least expensive. That is what we must avoid at all costs. That is why the uniqueness is the reason why Dell has a 6% margin on their laptops. Apple has a 35% margin on their laptops, because the Apple individual considers their product unique and irreplaceable. That's why, okay? Our job as marketers are to create unique offerings to the consumers. Offerings that they consider to be special, irreplaceable, and non-substitute. Except no substitutes. And so, what that means is, we must always consider where the consumer finds value. And value is the number one word in marketing, value. So, without further ado, let's start talking about some basic marketing concepts before we go. So, we used to think satisfaction was the way that we measure success in marketing. Satisfaction was one of those goals, especially in the 80s and 90s, that we felt how we measure success. Has anyone ever gone into Walmart and said, boy, I was really satisfied? We hate well, we don't hate it, but just going into Walmart just burns us up, okay? I mean, it yearly ranks, makes 7th or 8%, 7th or 8th in terms of overall satisfaction for retail environments. But we go back again and again and again and again. Why? Well, this is one of those things that makes you challenge your concepts, and we realize perhaps satisfaction isn't the proper word we're using, perhaps it should be value. And that's ultimately where Walmart hits, is that Walmart provides consumers many times the greatest value that they can for their particular dollar, right? That is Walmart's sweet spot. Now, the interesting thing is, in 2018, was it 2017 to 2018, Walmart had a 10% jump in consumer satisfaction. Do you know how they got it?
The lower prices,
No,
they do the drive-through.
no. Those are all good guesses. I like them. They gave everyone in Walmart a pay raise. Isn't that amazing? When people are happier at their work, it shows in the consumers. And that's how they were able to get satisfaction, by concentrating internally in their corporation. And sometimes if we want to look for our success, the only place we need to look is to look inside of ourselves. And so they were able to increase their value by showing their employees that they're valued. So just kind of an interesting way to think of it. So what we're going to talk about here are basic marketing concepts and how those apply to marketing in general. So the first thing we want to know is the customer first is always at the core of every decision in marketing. Marketing is not defined by the products that they sell. Marketing is defined by the consumers they wish to deal with. It means that as consumers' needs and wants change, it is very important for us as corporations to understand them. So this is the 2006 version of the definition of marketing, and this is stuck for 20 years, which is amazing, because they've been changing the definition of marketing usually every 5 to 10 years. And so this was the one that sticks. So this is a test question, okay? Marketing, break it down, is the activity. It is the set of institutions. So it is activity. It is the institutions, processes, okay, that create, communicate, deliver, and exchange offerings that have value. For customers, clients, partners, and then society at large. And I think this is a pretty good definition, I think definitely. Now, what I like about this definition especially is that with all these other things, there's one common thing that they have, and it's offerings that have value. We'll talk about value a lot, okay? Value is not utility. Value is not satisfaction. Value means that there are costs that are associated with the benefits. But the cost or the things that we give up are greater than the benefits that we receive in. That also value takes in the concept of those things that tend to be not physical, all right? There are emotional satisfactions that we have with a purchase of an item that may transcend their personal and financial goals, all right? Which is also one of the great difficulties, because value, like many things, is in the eye of the beholder. And so what we consider to be valuable may not be considered valuable to others. And so, this is the definition of marketing. Activity, set of institutions or processes for creating, communicating, delivering, and exchanging offerings that have value for customers, clients, partners, and society at large. And the old concept is that the value that they have is to be able to create long-term relationships. Relationship marketing especially became, let's just say, a lot of things are not necessarily created, but they're discovered. And one of the things that the Shelby Hutt commitment trust theory does is it talks or identifies what are those things that create long-term successful relationships. Hyde in 1981 stated that the transactional kind of marketing where you're only there for one time would be equal to just simply going into a gas station, paying for gas and cash and never coming back. And we know that that's not really where consumers are. Consumers have greater satisfaction when they have rewarding interpersonal trust and relationships, and the relationships in many times exceed the value that's created from the product itself. And so what is a market? So quite simply, a market is a collection of buyers and sellers. It is a location space. It is either a marketplace, which is a physical location of where buyers and sellers meet to conduct transactions, or it is a market space, which is considered generally usually an electronic market. Generally, spaces are unbound by time and space. They tend to exist in an esoteric fashion, but they are places where individuals meet together. We have always had marketplaces as well. I was on the island of Rhodes, and it was kind of interesting. I was at a marketplace area where they had been conducting transactions on the island of Rhodes for nearly 4,000 years. And who knows how many generations of individuals have been in that same place conducting transactions. It doesn't mean whether those exchanges have to be for money or whether those exchanges have to be for goods in the barter system. They, in essence, are the same thing. It is an exchange of value for value. And so if we're talking about exchanging, what is an exchange? So in 1776, along with the publishing of the Declaration of Independence, there was another individual by the name of Adam Smith who published a book called The Wealth of Nations. Anybody heard of that, by the way? Yeah, it's a seminal thing. If George Washington is considered the father of our country, Adam Smith, in many ways, is considered to be the mentor of this country. Adam Smith's concept of the exchange is, once again, probably more of a discovery than it is an invention or creation. The age from 17th to the 18th century is called the Great Enlightenment. It was a fascinating time where countries were breaking away from their original bounds. And there was these fascinating kinds of letter exchanges going on between Jefferson and Franklin and Adam Smith and Thomas Paine across Europe and across the United States. There were letters that were flying back and forth where there was this great upheaval going on with our consideration of ideas. And Adam Smith came up with The Wealth of Nations. And what Adam Smith said is that the greatest strength of any nation isn't in the assets that they have or the resources, but in the individuals in their countries and their ability to be able to do the things they do best. And what Adam Smith said is that we should encourage individuals to focus on those things in which they have the greatest strength, allow them to make money, and take that money and exchange it with others who are doing something of great value themselves. And so he came up with the 5 conditions that he considered vitally important in creating an exchange. And so what are those conditions? The first is there has to be at least 2 parties to the exchange. There can be 3 or 4. It can be an unlimited number. That's the first thing. The second is each party has something of value to the other party. The something of value that they have may have no value to them whatsoever, but the individuals on the other side consider them to be valuable. And by the very same token, the individuals on the other side have something of value that maybe they don't consider, but they want to be able as well. Not only that, but that thing has to have equal or greater value. And once again, the value does not have to be physical in quantity, it can be esoteric in spirit. Each party must be capable of communication of that value and the exchange and delivery of them. And so in other words, each party must be capable of giving those goods in exchange for each other. The next one, of course, in a free society is important, is that each party must be free to accept them or reject them in exchange. If either party is not free to accept or reject, it is coercion. It is extortion. And then finally, each party believes it is desirable to exchange the goods I have with the other party. These conditions are important, but also understand, remember this as a marketer. Success for me is if I can come up with a location, physical or otherwise, and I can help move these 2 things along. If I can provide a third place where the 2 parties can meet, where they have something of value, they have the freedom to accept or reject it. So if you are in an airport and they have duty-free stores, duty-free stores are an example of the necessary freedom and lubrication to make these things happen. Usually, the prices are not tied to any tariffs. They're not tied to any taxes. They are acceptable for the airlines for those goods to move back and forth. The airlines accept that they will be putting those goods on their planes. All of these things happen in a duty-free store, and that's why they're so enormously successful. Yes, go ahead.
I have a question about exchange. These guys that a buyer, these, I'm a seller convince the buyer that, I'm a buyer that the buyer doesn't really need. Is this exchanging?
Big enough?
Just for example, like, you want to sell me a book.
Mhm.
You told me that the book really good for me. Really, I don't need that. And, but you're so convincing that I buy that book.
Yes.
But then I realize I don't need that. This is exchanging or?
That's where ethics come in. I mean, seriously, no, it's a very good question. Usually, by the way, is I don't know, in the MBA classes, will you be given like a course in ethics? That was the first thing I had in MBA class. Okay, ethics are what guide, responsible decisions. Okay, and ethics are required. And the other part of that is it's a good question because it also guides your ability to create long-term relationships. Okay. You can always convince another individual to buy something that they don't necessarily need. Whether or not an individual actually needs it is solely on the buyer themselves. All right. But, yeah, long-term ethical decisions, well, no, there's no long-term success without being responsible, okay? You can, I don't want to say force, but if it violates the 5 rules of exchange, then it is coercion, or it is, it is in one way or another not a viable exchange. And sad to say, people do it more than not. But once again, you have something at your side that we never did. We have information, you have information. The difficulty, of course, is, and what I'm hoping that you're doing here while you're in these classes, is being able to understand how to make rational choices and know what is true and what is not. And that's a hard thing, okay? We're always going to be that way. I had a very, very unscrupulous uncle who made a fortune selling cars in New Orleans. And, he was rich beyond crisis. But, I mean, I wouldn't trust him with my hat, okay? So, yeah, anyway, but, in the long term, I don't know. Crime does pay. It does too. The difficulty is, what can you live with in your life, right? And that's a choice that each one of us has to make. But someone like that, I mean, I find some way of reporting it. I would, unfortunately, bad people are going to be with us from here to forever. And what we hope is that we can just make it harder and harder for them, it's we're never gonna defeat human nature. We can at least punch back every once in a while, So, good question. We got 5 more minutes. Let's finish this with product. And then we'll come back tomorrow and we'll finish chapter 1 and move on to chapter 2. So what is a product? What are we selling? Usually we've moved the word from product and we're talking about offerings now. But a product is anything that can be acquired via the exchange to satisfy a need and a want. I got to explain need and wants. Anyway, the ones that we most talk about are goods and services. And I think you could take services and classify them with goods as well. So we'll break down goods when we talk about products, and we'll go into that further. But here's a few things about services and the rest of them. Services are intangible. They are non-inventoried, so you can't inventory them. They are consumed at the moment of purchase. And they are very heterogenetic, which means that the quality of a service rests not in the process of creating as it is with the individuals who create it. Because they can't be stored, they must be created at the moment of consumption. And it also means that the consumers must pay special attention to the quality of an individual as much as the product itself. Who out there has one and only one person that you allow touch your hair? Yeah, I mean, there's always that one person, once you get them right, that you swear by, that you never want anyone else to touch those particular goods. And it's why another reason, because services are so specialized and goods can be considered commodities. This is why goods are being shifted be considered services. Okay? This is why things like customer support, repair, timeliness, quality, all of those things are considered so important. And that's why that apple has a 35% margin of it, and you're happy with it versus other products, okay? The shift in the last 20 years is to consider goods to have the quality of services, okay? Because when they're unique and exceptional, we will not accept anything else. And so I think we're done for today. Tomorrow, we will finish up chapter 1, talking about basic marketing, and then we'll start talking about the 4 P's of chapter 6. Okay? Have a good day.
Yeah. I was gonna call somebody, but I don't think I can.
I got a quick question.